Hello viewers, welcome to my channel IIT JEE Olympiads and AP Physics with Ambarish. And in today's video, I have brought on request the statement and proof of Thevenin's theorem. I'll be proving Thevenin's theorem, and apart from Thevenin's theorem, I'll also be logically stating two related theorems which are involved in the proof of Thevenin's theorem, that is compensation theorem and the substitution theorem. And I had also done a video on superposition theorem. If you want, you can watch that video because that's the prerequisite for understanding Thevenin's theorem. And if you do recall superposition principle, then no problem, you can continue with this video and you'll be able to understand Thevenin's theorem nicely. The video is bit involved, and at places you might like to pause the video and think for a while before moving further so that you can understand the entire proof nicely. And I'm sure if you pay careful attention, you will be able to understand all the principles involved here, and it will be in your grip, the Thevenin's theorem, right? So let me state the theorem formally. So what's the theorem? Let a circuit have two portions, say driver and driven part. So there's only one circuit, but mentally I'm dividing into a driver part and the driven part. Okay, the driver should have only batteries and resistors. So this part has got only batteries and resistors, or possibly it can have current sources, but then current source is also like a combination of batteries and resistors. You can think of current sources having infinite EMF and infinite resistance. For example, let's say 1 lakh volt battery is there, and then you have internal resistance of 1 lakh ohm, then that will act like a constant current source of 1 ampere, right? So very large EMF and very large internal resistance. So that's why I've just put current sources in bracket, because that's just a special case of a battery. Okay, the driven can have any circuit elements. So this part can have anything. It could be diode or a transistor, or of course resistance, capacitance, inductance, anything. So this could have anything. Okay, so driven has any circuit elements. The driver and driven are connected at only two terminals, so they should be separable by just making two cuts. They're connected only at 2 points and not more than 2 points. For example, if it were connected like this, then Thevenin theorem cannot be applied. So the connection should be happening only at 2 points, right? Then what is the claim of Thevenin's theorem? The driver can be replaced by a simple series combination of a single battery and a single resistor, say VTH and RTH, where VTH is what? Open circuit voltage across terminals A and B, and RTH is the resistance across terminals A and B of the driver circuit, with all the batteries replaced by short circuits. Now this needs a little explanation, so let me show it through the figure. So we can replace this whole thing by a single battery VTH and RTH. And what's the value of VTH? So VTH is the open circuit voltage across these two. That means suppose I had removed the load. Suppose I remove the load and let these two terminals hang. So then there will be some voltage coming across points A and B, and that's the open circuit voltage, which I am also calling as VTH for VThevenin, right? And what is RTH? RTH is, suppose you remove the load, and then in this circuit you replace all the batteries by short circuits. Okay, all the batteries you replace by short circuits, and this is gone. And if you see across terminals and A and B, there will be some effective resistance of this circuit, and that resistance I am calling as RTH. So our claim is that, or rather Thevenin's claim is that, if I replace this circuit by this circuit, VTH and RTH, then the load will not experience any difference. The current going through the load will be same. This V across the load will be same by this kind of replacement. Okay, so this has to be open circuit voltage, and this has to be the resistance of the driver circuit. Okay, so that's the claim of the Thevenin's theorem. Okay, so if you do this, then the driven circuit will not feel any difference. I hope the statement is clear to everybody. Now what are the prerequisites? I said that one is the superposition theorem, so I'll give you the link in the description box. You can have a look if you've not already seen the superposition theorem proof. And then I'll also be using compensation theorem, so don't worry, I'll be presenting the compensation theorem also in this video itself. So now what is the compensation theorem statement? Compensation theorem says that in any circuit containing batteries and resistors only, any resistor can be replaced by either a battery whose EMF is equal to the potential drop across the resistor. That means if a particular resistance has got a potential drop of 5 volts, say let's in a circuit, so what I can do is I can remove that resistor and in place of the resistor I can place a battery of 5 volts, and the rest of the circuit will not know the difference at all. Okay, so I can replace the resistor by a battery whose EMF is equal to the potential drop across the resistor, or alternately I can also replace the same resistor by a current source whose current is equal to the current in the resistor. For example, if the current in that resistor was 1 ampere, then I can remove that resistor, and in place of that resistor I can insert a current source having current 1 ampere, and rest of the circuit will not know the difference. So this is the statement of compensation theorems. Either you can call it as two theorems or one theorem, depending on whether you want to, we can either replace it by a battery or we can replace it by a current source. Both are valid. Okay, now what's the logic behind compensation theorem? So what I'll do, I'll take a simple problem and verify compensation theorem, and then you'll be able to follow the logic behind compensation theorem easily. So what's the logic behind compensation theorem? Let's look at an example. So I have a circuit over here, and this I'll be focusing on this 3 ohm resistor. What I'll be doing, I'll be finding the current through this 3 ohm resistor and the voltage across this 3 ohm resistor, and then I'll be replacing this 3 ohm resistor by a battery of the voltage which is across, which was the potential drop of 3 ohm resistor, and then later on I'll be replacing this 3 ohm resistor by a current source, and we'll see whether or not it makes the difference to the rest of the circuit, whether the currents are same or different. Okay, so now I can find out I3 very easily because it's a simple series and parallel circuit. So what is the effective resistance? So 6 ohm and 3 ohm in parallel becomes 6 into 3 divided by 6 plus 3. So this is 2 ohm, right? So this becomes 2 ohms, and then this 2 ohm is in series with 3 ohms. So that means what? This is 10 volt and this whole thing becomes 5 ohm. So this current is 2 ampere, right? 10 by 5, that is 2 ampere current, right? So if this current is 2 ampere, what is the drop across this? So 2 into 3 is 6. So out of 10 volts, 6 volt drop is across this. So this drop must be 4 volts, or otherwise you can use any method, and you can verify that the drop across this 3 ohm resistor is 4 volts. And what about the current through this? So if the 4 volt is the drop across this, then the current must be just 4 by 3 ampere. So that's what I've calculated. So effective resistance, then from effective resistance I calculated the current supplied by the battery, and then I found the voltage across this combination of 6 ohm and 3 ohm. 6 into 3 divided by 6 plus 3, 2 ohm, and 2 ohm and 2 ampere multiply gives 4 volt, right? And this is the voltage across 6 as well as 3 ohm resistor, right? And current is 4 by 3 ampere, and current through the 6 ohm resistor is 2 by 3 ampere. Okay, now instead of putting a resistance, I'll put a battery over here, and the battery voltage I'll take as 4 volts. See, the drop across this was 4 volts, right? So VPQ was 4 volts. So I've replaced that resistance by a battery of 4 volts. And now let us say the new currents are I3 prime and I6 prime, and this is I prime, and we'll see whether they come out to be same or different. Okay, so now I've used the node voltage method. Suppose this node potential is 0, then this node potential is 4, then this is 4, this one is 4, and this is 0, this is 10. So what's the current through this? So 10 minus 4 divided by 3, that is 6 by 3, this is 2 amperes, right? So I prime is 2 amperes. Okay, and this is same as the value that we got earlier. If you see, I was 2 amperes. So exactly the same current being supplied by the battery of 10 volts, right? So now let's see the others also, whether I6 prime is same or different. So I6 prime will be, this is 4, this is 0, so 4 divided by 6, that is 2 by 3 ampere. Okay, so I6 prime is 2 by 3 ampere, and here you see I6 is also 2 by 3 ampere. So same value of current, I6. And of course I3 prime, now you can use the junction law here. So this was 2 amperes, and this is your how much? This was 2 by 3 amperes. So 2 minus 2 by 3 amperes, and if you solve that, this comes out to be 4 by 3 amperes, which is same as before. See, I3 was 4 by 3 amperes. So I3 prime is also same. So can you see that all the currents are same, even though I have replaced the resistance of 3 ohm by a battery of 4 volts. So thus we have verified the substitution theorem, or rather compensation theorem. Substitution theorem is a related theorem, I will state in the end. But I hope you got some intuitive feel also why our answers are coming out to be same. If you didn't get that feel, so let me break it down for you. See, thus we see that all currents in the circuit are same as before. Okay, now why has this happened? This is expected because while applying KVL in any loop, any resistor is just equivalent to the potential difference across it, right? Because we do not write the resistance and current separately, we always write IR term, right? And product of I and R is nothing but the voltage across the resistor. And when I put a battery instead of the resistor, the value of that battery is same as the product of the IR terms. So if my KVL equations were satisfied for certain values of currents and voltages, the same set of solution should hold true even now, because in essence I have changed nothing, because that potential drop equation doesn't know that whether that potential drop is happening because of resistance or because of battery. Okay, so we have compensated the potential difference and the rest of the circuit solution remains unaffected. Because circuits have unique solution, we have a linear system of equations, so we do not have multiple solutions, especially for circuits. So solution is unique, and we can see that even now the same solution set is satisfied by the new equations. Not new equations, in fact for all the loops the equations remain same, and here we have taken the same potential drop. Okay, so I hope you got some understanding into why compensation theorem is working. Now let me come to the other part. So instead of voltage source, suppose I replace it by a current source. See, the difference between voltage source and current source is that across a voltage source or EMF, the EMF remains fixed, but the current can be anything. From a normal battery, current can be anything, but EMF remains fixed. Whereas with the current source, the current remains fixed, although the potential drop can be anything. Okay, so that's why in the loops having current sources, we generally do not apply the KVL, because we do not know the potential drops across the current sources in general, although we can find out indirectly. So what I am going to do now, I am going to replace this by a current source. Let's see. So what was the current in this one? So current in this one was 4 by 3 ampere. So I'll put a 4 by 3 ampere current source over here. Okay, instead of 3 ohm resistor, I have a 4 by 3 ampere current source. Okay, so now at this junction I am applying the junction law. So I double prime coming over here, I am calling the new variables by double prime subscript. Okay, so this is, let us say, I double prime, and this is I3 double prime, and this is I6 double prime. So I3 double prime I already know, it's not an unknown anymore, it is 4 by 3 ampere. So I can say that I6 double prime plus 4 by 3 ampere should be equal to I double prime. This is my first equation, and then I make the loop law equation over here. So we can see that this equation is same as the equation in the original problem, right? So what is the equation? This is 3I double prime plus 6I6 double prime minus 10 equal to 0. And now I can solve the system of equations. If you solve this, you get I double prime as 2 amperes and I6 double prime as 2 by 3 ampere, and which is same as I6. So you see that the currents are same as before, and if I6 is 2 by 3 ampere, this drop becomes what? This drop becomes 2 by 3 into 6, that is 4 volts. So drop across this current source is also 4 volts. So same potential drops, right? And this is also expected. Why? Because with the current source, the junction law is satisfied exactly as with the original resistor. So see, original resistor was supplying some current to the rest of the circuit, and whatever current the original resistor was supplying to the rest of the circuit, the same current I am supplying through this current source. So the junction laws can be satisfied exactly with the same solution. If we retain the rest of the current same in the rest of the circuit, the junctions law will be automatically satisfied, right? And of course the loop laws were anyway satisfied with the original currents in the circuit, and the other loops are not changed at all, and we have now one less variable to solve for, so no need to apply loop law in this loop. The other loop law equation is same, and the junction law is same, and therefore the solution remains same. So that's what I have written. This is also expected because with the current source, the junction law is satisfied exactly as with the original resistor, and KVL remains satisfied for the remaining loops with the same set of values as before. Okay, note that we have one less unknown for the current, so we can just make loop law equations for the remaining loops. Remaining means except the loop which had the current source. Now this was our compensation theorem. Now a related theorem is the substitution theorem. Substitution theorem is what? So here we were replacing the resistor by a battery, but not just for a resistor, not only we can replace a resistor, we also can replace a combination of resistor and a battery. For example, here instead of this 3 ohm resistor, instead of that, let us say I had a 3 ohm resistor and plus let us say another 5 volt battery. So what would I do? I would replace the entire combination of resistance plus battery with a single resistance. So that's what is the modification in the substitution theorem. So we can replace any circuit feature by the potential drop that it produces, because at the end of the day, when you write KVL, what matters is the potential drop. It does not matter how that potential drop is generated. So if you are getting any potential drop across 2 points in a circuit, you can, and if you can simply remove that portion, that feature of the circuit which is producing that potential drop, and insert a battery, and you know that your KVL equations will still remain satisfied with the original circuit. Okay, so this is the substitution theorem, right? Okay, so substitution theorem, that is not just resistors, we can compensate just about any circuit feature by a battery which produces the same potential difference as the original circuit feature was having. Okay, so now once we have understood the compensation theorems and substitution theorems, we are now ready to delve into the proof of the Thevenin's theorem. I want your perfect attention. Please pay very careful attention, and I am sure you will be able to understand. So what we are going to prove, let's see. Okay, so there is some original circuit, and this I have mentally divided into driver and the driven circuits. So I am calling the driver circuit as P, and I am calling the driven circuit as Q. And driven circuit will have some potential difference across its two terminals. Let us say A and B are the terminals, and it will have some potential difference, right? Now driver is supplying some current to the driven, and by substitution theorem, what I can do is I can replace the driven circuit by a battery of the same potential drop. See, so the potential drop across this driven circuit was V0, so I just removed the driven circuit and I put a battery of V0. And I know that by substitution theorem this current will remain still the same. Now what is my line of logic for proof of Thevenin's theorem? Now I am going to produce an alternate arrangement. Instead of circuit P, I am going to produce an alternate arrangement which can supply the same current through this battery of V0. And if that arrangement can produce the same current through this battery of V0, that would mean what? That would mean that it would produce the same current through the driven circuit. And if it produces the same current through the driven circuit, the alternate arrangement, that means what? Driven circuit will not know any difference between the original driver circuit and the substituted new driver circuit. So let's get into the maths of it, and I hope you followed the approach that I am going to take for proof. Okay, so let us mentally divide the circuit into two parts, driver and the driven. Okay, let V0 be the potential drop produced by the P across Q. So this is the driver, and this V0 is being produced across the driven circuit Q. And let I be the total supplied current by P to Q. So this is current I that is being supplied by P to Q. Now by substitution theorem, Q can be replaced by a battery of V0, and I should still remain unchanged. See, so I have removed the driven, I put a battery of V0, and this I should remain unchanged by substitution theorem. Okay, let ISC be the current across terminals A and B if the battery V0 were replaced by a short circuit. So suppose I remove this battery and I just put a short circuit over here. Okay, I remove the battery and I replace it by a short circuit. Then let us say the current flowing through this is ISC. So ISC is the short circuit current. So this driver circuit is supplying a current ISC if battery is short circuited. And then another thing, another symbol. So like let ISC be the current across terminals A and B if the battery V0 were replaced by a short circuit, and let I0 be the current, signed value of current across terminals A and B if all batteries in circuit P were replaced by short circuit. So how am I defining I0? See, in the driver circuit, suppose all the batteries are replaced by short circuit. So then there will be some current going into this, right? Some current will be flowing through the driver circuit if all the batteries of the driver circuit were replaced by short circuits, and that current I am calling as I naught. Actually I am taking I naught in the forward direction, so this current, if it is in the reverse direction, we'll call it as minus I naught. Okay, I am calling this as I naught so that I can write net I as by superposition theorem. So when I short circuited this current was ISC, and when I short circuited the batteries in this circuit, then that current is I naught in this direction. So in this direction it is minus I naught. So the total current I is I short circuit and plus I naught. That's the value of I. So that's, let's look at the text. So I defined I short circuit, then I defined the value of I naught. Okay. Okay. So I short circuit, if the battery V naught is replaced by short circuit, and let I naught be the current across the terminals A and B if all the batteries in circuit P were replaced by short circuit. Then by superposition, net current I is simply I naught plus ISC. So basically I have applied superposition theorem for this battery and all the batteries inside this, and this I is nothing but superposition of I short circuit and plus I naught. Okay, I naught is going to be negative in this case, so that's why. Okay, now if RTH is the resistance of P across A and B with all batteries replaced by short circuit, then I naught is minus V naught by R Thevenin. See, if I replace all these batteries by short circuit, and let us say across this terminal the effective resistance of P is RTH. So this is V naught battery and this is RTH. So current going in this direction will be what? It will be simply V naught divided by RTH. So this is from right to left current. Okay, so if I want to write left to right, it should be minus V naught divided by R Thevenin. So this is your I naught. Okay, so this current then becomes ISC plus I naught, as I explained earlier. Okay, so net I is sum of, okay, so I naught plus I short circuit, and I naught is what? I naught is minus of V naught divided by R Thevenin, right? Okay, now I can put this I naught in this. Okay, so what do I get? So equation 1 gets modified to, you use 2 in 1, it gets modified to total current is I short circuit, this is as it is, and minus I naught, instead plus I naught, and I naught is minus V naught upon R Thevenin. This is my current. Okay, and this equation is valid irrespective of the driven circuit. Of course, with the driven circuit the value of V naught will change, it will depend on what is the value of V naught, but this equation will be valid no matter what the value of V naught, right? So if this equation is always valid, I can as well have an open circuit for the driven circuit. That is, nothing is connected across the terminals, and in that case you know that the current will be 0 if I replace the driven by an open circuit. So if there is nothing over here, let us say these terminals are just hanging, then obviously this I will become 0 and the voltage coming here will be VOC. VOC is the open circuit voltage, right? So that's what I've written. So equation 3 is generally valid, that is, this equation is generally valid equation irrespective of the driven circuit or V naught. So it is also valid if the driven circuit was just an open circuit. In that case I is equal to 0 and V naught will be nothing but open circuit voltage, right? And open circuit voltage, for sake of convenience, I will be later replacing it by the symbol ETH to signify the Thevenin voltage. Okay, so just put V, instead of V naught you put V open circuit, and instead of I you put 0. So what do you get? 0 is equal to I short circuit and minus VOC divided by R Thevenin, or I can say that I short circuit is what? That is V open circuit divided by R Thevenin. Just rearrange this equation, and now I am going to substitute this 4 into 3 for I short circuit. So what I can say, that this current supplied by the driver is nothing but open circuit voltage minus V naught divided by R Thevenin. This is the current being supplied by the driver. Okay, now can I think of a simpler circuit which supplies exactly the same amount of current in the driven circuit? Of course, if you see this circuit, suppose I have a circuit like this, and this is your E Thevenin. VOC I have just replaced by the symbol E Thevenin, they are just exactly equivalent. So if I have E Thevenin over here and if I have R Thevenin over here, and suppose this voltage is V naught, then what is the current supplied by this battery? So see, if you substitute the driven circuit by a V naught, so then this circuit current is exactly what? E Thevenin minus V naught divided by R Thevenin. So that means what? Driver is behaving as if this is the circuit. So this circuit is exactly equivalent to the original driver circuit as far as the driven circuit is concerned. Okay, because you see equation 6, it's a very beautiful equation and it very amply illustrates why our substitution is valid. Look both the circuit and the equation, you should look simultaneously. If you look at this box, you will be able to understand the depth of what I am saying. So I have replaced the driver circuit by this new driver circuit, okay, original driver circuit by the Thevenin equivalent circuit. This means if we replace the circuit P by E Thevenin and R Thevenin, the same current flows in circuit Q as with the original circuit P. Thus the equivalence is valid. So that was my proof of Thevenin's theorem. I hope you followed the proof nicely, and if you did like this proof, please do give a thumbs up to my video, and please share this video in various WhatsApp groups or Telegram groups or whatever study groups you might be part of, where there are other students preparing for Olympiads or JEE, and whoever you think might find this video useful, please share this video as much as possible. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. My channel is not monetized. It's the love that I receive from you in the form of comments and likes and most importantly subscriptions, that keeps me motivated to do more and more videos. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do keep coming back to my channel for more awesome stuff. That's all for this video, and see you in the next one. God bless you all.